Hello everyone and welcome to my vlog. So today I'm making a dish with aubergines and mince. So I'm making like a kebab. So I started by adding some of the kofta mix and some spice, which is chili powder, to the mince. I also added in some peppers, some za'atar, some thyme, and some crushed chili flakes. These were then mixed together. I then got the aubergines and the courgettes, which were sliced. So in between each of the vegetable, I am just putting in the mince. So this is a type of kebab. Just have to try and sandwich the mince in between. So this is raw mince, but it will be baked in the oven. So the mince was all used up and there were some remaining vegetables, so I just added them to the tray. In a separate dish, I made the sauce that was going to go with it. So to some tomato sauce, I added some of the thyme. This is just dried thyme and some chili flakes as well. I also had to add a little bit of water to make the tomato sauce a bit more runny, and then once I did that, I just scooped the sauce on top of the kebabs, and this is what is going to add the nice tomato flavour, and it will get into the mince as well. Then what was left was the fresh tomatoes, so I just chopped the tomatoes in half and simply just added them into the tray. So these are going to bake and soften and release all the tomato juices and will add flavour to the dish. I also prepared some of the peppers that were going to be added as well. So they were just chopped and added to the tray. So roasted peppers always taste good on any dish. Next up, it was time to add the garlic. So all I did was peel off the skin and just added it straight on, and this will add the most flavour. And also I added some red onions as well. So I just neatened it up a little bit to make it look a bit more aesthetic, and then it was ready to go into the oven. Whilst that was left to bake in the oven, I started on the next dish, which was using spinach and feta cheese. For this one I was making some phyllo pastry with the feta cheese and spinach inside. So I started up by cutting up some of the cheese. I chopped these into small cubes. Now this cheese is really nice, it's nice and creamy, and spinach and cheese go so well together, especially this type of cheese. So here was the spinach all nice and washed and chopped up as well. So I just added the cheese straight into it. I also added in some low-fat grated cheese as well. I noticed I put too much in, so I had to reduce a little bit. Didn't want it to be too overpowering. Next I added in some red onions. Now this is another key ingredient that really makes this taste so great. Added in a bit of thyme and a tiny bit of the chili flake as well, and these were just mixed together. Just ever so lightly without breaking up all the cheese. So this actually tastes quite good on its own as well. And then put the mixture on top of the pastry. Then it was just folded together just as one big pastry, and then it could be cut later on. I didn't bother to make them into small parcels or anything, I just made it into one big pastry. Then sealed it together with the fork. I realised that there was a bit more filling that I could add, so I just added that in between, and then I filled the end, and that also went into the oven. So while those two were cooking, I started on the next dish, which I also used mince for. So we've got minced tomatoes, onions, peppers, a bit of garlic too, which was fried earlier. So mixed together, and this was going to be going into a flatbread and being rolled. So this is the Lebanese flatbread that I'm going to use, and just spoon in the mixture. I do quite like having mince. I feel like mince makes the best sort of recipes for my preference. So I really like using mince a lot in my dishes, and I do tend to eat quite a lot of it as well as chicken and fish, but mince is probably one of my favourites. So once that was added, so the mince was obviously cooked in the pan. Once it was added to the bread, I added some more za'atar. I love the flavour of za'atar. And then add some of the spinach mixture as well to make it taste even better. And then just rolled it. Now this bread was a little bit tricky to roll because it does start to break apart a little bit because it's a little bit dry. So I had to just be quite careful. So I was going to make a few of these in a batch. So I repeated the same process to the next one. So layering up the mince. I think spinach and cheese, this salad was so nice on its own, and it has to be one of my favourite salads I have had, so with cheese, red onions and spinach. So I definitely recommend trying it as a salad on its own as well. So I made 4 so far, and then here's the 5th one. This was going to be the last one. And once it was done, I just cut them into smaller pieces, so smaller bite-sized pieces. The only problem I had here was the bread. The bread did break a little bit, so I feel like if it was a different type of bread, maybe it would have worked a little bit better and stayed together in one place. This one was very crumbly and quite delicate. So then I sprinkled some za'atar because I can't get enough of that. And here was the pastry. It was baked nicely, nice and golden colour. You can see the pastry flaking off quite nicely. It was really hot, so I had to just watch out. She used a bread knife to cut it. If you do try make anything from this recipe, I would definitely suggest making this pastry because it was one of my favourites. Such a good combination. The pastries are nice and buttery, and then you've got the nice crunchy spinach and the creamy cheese and the red onions just adding more flavour. It's really good. So I had to cut them into small bite-sized pieces just for ease. I realise I've used a lot of za'atar in this video, but I do love it. It tastes so nice. It has a nice unique flavour and it adds that extra taste to any dish. And that was that one complete. And the kebab and vegetables were also complete, so the aubergines had roasted quite nicely and the tomatoes had softened. And this was the bread as well, ready to eat. And here were all three of the dishes ready to eat. So there was a lot to go around. So I started with my favourite first. I could really smell the aromas from the tomato and the garlic. So when making the kebabs, it's really important to make sure that the aubergines are fully softened. I felt like mine could do with a bit more time in the oven because they were a little bit hard, but it still tasted good. And I just got a combination of everything on my plate. These all make quite a nice combination together. After that, I made some desserts, so I decided to make some healthy banana cake with chocolate chips. So you can see the ingredients is a little bit different because I didn't use flour because flour has a lot of carbs, so instead I use oats, mashed up bananas, some honey and chocolate chips. These were dark chocolate chips, and a tiny bit of baking powder, and I just put them into the oven on a baking dish and let them bake, and then I just cut them into squares once they were baked. So you can see the top of it has got a golden colour. This was quite nice actually. I like making desserts with oats because it's so much healthier. Next day for lunch I had a jacket potato with beans and cottage cheese and blueberries and the banana cake. And for dinner I made some fish and some mashed potatoes with pepper, and there was a nice pepper seasoning to go on top of it and some boiled garlic and herb potatoes. So the salmon's got the pepper on top. So it's pepper, garlic, and it's been put into a grinder. And the next day I had some of the roast vegetables with couscous and some roasted chicken. And for dinner, I made a healthy alternative to pizza. So I started with the tomato puree. So I'm using tortillas for this. So I've got tomato puree and olive oil mixed together in the bowl. And also some more tomato passata. So this one's got some chunks of tomato in as well. And the thyme, that gives it some nice flavour, and some mixed herbs. and some crushed chili flakes. So once it was mixed together well, I added it to the tortilla and I just spread it out like a pizza. This is much healthier than a pizza because the base is really thin. And you can add whatever topping you want. But I did layer it, so I had more than one tortilla and I just sandwiched it with the tomato sauce in between, a little bit of cheese, and then the tomato again. So I needed more sauce, so I did the same, and I just wanted there to be enough sauce on the top of the layer. So this was the last layer, so this was the top. So I evened out the tomato, added in the cheese, so this is the low fat cheese, and it was ready to go in the oven. Meanwhile, I made some noodles. And there was the pizza tortilla ready. It came out quite nice and it tasted really good as well. I would recommend trying this. You can add whatever toppings you want to it as well. If you wanted to add chicken or sweet corn or peppers or onions, you can also do that. And the next day I just had some of the leftover tortilla pizza and I made some biryani, which I had with korma and some chicken korma and some noodles. And then just a treat, I had some M&M brownies. Then I did a little bit of cleaning. So now it was a treat day over the weekend. So I had a strawberry sundae, which was made with some meringue, strawberries and cream. And the next day I also had a carrot cake, which was really good. I really liked the frosting on the carrot cake. And at the cinema I had some ice cream sundae. So I had ice cream with brownie and cream. And that's it for today. Please remember to like and subscribe for more. Thank you.